Good morning, everybody. I have another question to start us off today. You ready for it? What do you really want? All too often in life, we go through the motions and we never put pen to paper to find out the answer of what we truly want for our lives. It really is remarkable, right? So today that stops, because if you're listening to this, I want you to take a moment to make sure that you eventually answer that question today, pen to paper, of what you really want. My name's Michelle Berto. I am a former television news anchor who now teaches the C-suite how to look good and sound good on camera. And I am so happy to have on the show today Jerrica Dodd, a pharmacist who speaks directly to female pharmacists and so many others who are going through a transition within their own careers. Jerrica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Michelle, for having me.
Talk to us about your journey through the pharmacy world and what you're doing today, not only for patients, but for fellow pharmacists.
Sure. Well, my journey as a pharmacist started 22 years ago with graduation, and I've spent most of my career in the pharmaceutical industry, and 17 of those 22 years. And what happened to me personally is actually what has defined the latter part of my career and my current and present activities now. My parents experienced several different health challenges. My father specifically was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma, and I became an advocate for him before I even knew it, in that I was sitting in the office with him and trying to help sort out what the questions were, because that news hit him and me like a ton of bricks. And so my pharmacist self instantly sprung into action to start asking the questions that I knew my father would never know to ask. And 5 short months later, my mother was diagnosed with heart problems and had to have triple bypass heart surgery. And that in itself was monumental. However, when she came out of that surgery, she was in a bit of a dementia. And so I found myself once again being an advocate for my mother, the patient now. And then subsequently, 5 months later, I had brain surgery. And from my hospital bed while I was recuperating, was definitely an advocate with regard to medications for my journey, my health journey. And I remember saying that I was going to create something to help patients, because I shudder to think what the outcome would have been for either of my parents if they hadn't had a daughter who was a pharmacist. Mm-hmm. And that made me want to develop something to help patients. So I developed a concierge pharmacy consulting practice called Your Pharmacy Advocate. And subsequently, as I was building my practice, I began getting calls from women pharmacists asking if I would coach them. So out of me building my consulting practice, a side spring, if you will, was women pharmacists coming forward saying, I want to change my career. I want to do something different. Can you coach me? And I've now developed a coaching practice that has supported women pharmacists in changing their lives.
So let's just quickly address those two audiences. And the first one, let's talk about patients. How could patients find you, and also a patient's family member? Because a lot of times we are advocating, as you said, for our parents, for our children. How can we find someone like yourself that is skilled in so many different areas that could really look at the bigger picture of what's happening with our loved ones?
So I can be found at yourpharmacyadvocate.com. We're on all the social media outlets, so Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and we also have a website, yourpharmacyadvocate.com. And it's really simple to just reach out either through our 800 number or through the website and have a quick conversation to see if our service would be a fit for a patient or for a patient's loved one, or for a loved one of a caregiver, excuse me. And with that, we're able to hear what's going on. Oftentimes in medical offices, not enough time is really devoted to hearing what's going on with a patient, what challenges they're having. And I found that pharmacists are very trusted, and patients will share things that they won't even share with their doctor with their pharmacist.
I have always said that in my experience with working with pharmacists for the past 2 years or so, pharmacists in our society are such an untapped resource.
Absolutely.
For not only for the healthcare industry as we deal with changes within our own system, but for the families and for the patients who need that advocacy to
Yes.
navigate the waters of insurance and getting the care that their loved one needs. So I think that that's such an amazing service. I wanted to give a shout out to that part of your business because we are actually going to be focusing on the other side of your business, which is about helping other female pharmacists really live the life that they truly want. And I framed this conversation about what do you really want, because whether you're in pharmacy or whether you're in industry, insert here, people go through life sometimes just going through the motions and not taking that time to truly have some choreography. I call it career choreography. And planning it out, planning that dance for the duration of your professional life. So what would you say to female pharmacists who are saying, wow, our industry is changing big time. It's changing for three main reasons that we chatted about before we got on live. Amazon is taking over. Artificial intelligence is really making waves in the pharmacy industry. And just the influx of pharmacists that are graduating from pharmacy school each year, the competition for the jobs that are out there that turns out many people don't even like when they're in them, but to get those initial jobs is really cutthroat. So that's the dynamic that's in this world right now. What do you say to that female pharmacist that's calling you up saying, wait a minute, I just spent years in school and now either I want out or I need to have a pivot where I could use this knowledge in another way? What's the first thing that you say to them?
The first thing that I would say is perspective is everything. And so if you look at the circumstances and what's going on with the profession and you see it as, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, then it won't turn out well for you. You have to have a different perspective. I look at what's happening in the industry and I see it as an opportunity for pharmacists to recreate and reinvent themselves and develop the practices or whatever their heart's desire is, develop whatever it is that they've always wanted, that they felt that they've been missing in their current working environment, build that. It's possible to build whatever it is you want. And so I used to say, have a phrase to say, if you go on a witch hunt, you'll find a witch. So if all you see is job market saturation, no jobs, no one's hiring, can't get a call back, then you'll keep experiencing more of that. But when you look at it as an opportunity to create your own niche, or niche, however you pronounce it, create what is only going to be unique to you because you are the person that's creating it. When you do that, the opportunities are endless.
So a lot of people, I think, will look to you and say, okay, that's great, but how do I actually figure out what I want?
Well, and that's the challenge. I hear many women pharmacists say, if I could just figure out how. Well, I surmise that you don't have time to figure out how. When we decided that we wanted to become pharmacists, we did not sit for days and figure out how to become a pharmacist. We enrolled in an institution, we paid our tuition, and we were taught how to become a pharmacist, how to be a pharmacist. And so we didn't sit around trying to figure it out. Now, for some reason, we feel like we can't ask for help. Hey, I've got to figure this out. I can't figure this out. Can you help me? I would say you need to hire a coach and start running and building whatever it is that you want and not wasting the time trying to figure it out. Most of the pharmacists that I speak to have been in their career upwards of 10 or more years. And so granted, it does not take another 4, 5, 6 years to, create whatever it is that you want, as it did when you were in pharmacy school. It took some time, but you can start building whatever it is you want today. I hear pharmacists say, well, maybe I need to go back and get another degree. Maybe I need to go back and get another certification. And I'm saying, you're already a pharmacist. Use what you know and use what you already have, the knowledge you already have, and start building on that.
I do want to say that I am aware that we are having a delay in the video. So
Okay.
we're having that situation where we see your mouth going. So I'm working on it as you're talking. So be patient, audience. Thank you for that. But let's go into how to that thought process. Because listen, entrepreneur, my background is journalism. Now I want to be an entrepreneur. I had that same moment, Jerrica, where I was like, maybe I should get my MBA. I'm still not discounting that, actually, but I understand that angst of wanting education behind you so you could make the best educated steps as you move forward in this new journey. So I hear you when you say sometimes life isn't structured around the degree behind your name. Instead, it's structured by your goals and how you choose to get there as quickly as possible. What are your thoughts there?
I agree. And I don't have anything against getting more education, but oftentimes I feel that when people are unsure and when they're insecure about doing something new, it's really easy to default to, I'll go enroll in another institution, I'll go enroll to get another certificate, because as long as I'm learning, that it seems to build up the ego, if you will, that, yeah, I can do this. And I surmise that you can do it, but don't let getting additional education delay you from starting to build whatever it is that you want to build, especially if you have the foundation that's needed. As I said, pharmacists can consult and begin taking care of patients without having to go and get an additional degree or an additional certification. Most of them have already gotten their pharmacy degrees, whether it be a bachelor's or a PharmD, and they have experience in caring for patients every single day, depending on what aspect of pharmacy they practice in. And so while more education is definitely something that could be useful, it doesn't have to delay you beginning to start building whatever it is you want to build, because most of the pharmacists that end up speaking with me are in sometimes crisis mode. They cannot find a job. They have student loan payments that they need. They don't have time to wait. And I said to one pharmacist a couple of days ago, I was like, so with the student loan payments that you're looking at, are you sure that you want to go and add another degree on top of that? That's going to increase the amount that you owe in student loans. I say use what you have right now, start moving forward, and determine if that degree is really necessary.
So I love these ideas of talking about the obstacles that we put in our own way, right? Now I'm going to go get another degree. Now I'm going to go and focus on my logo because my logo is going to give me my first client. Not true, right?
Or your website.
Right, and your website. So, okay, I think that it's always important to journal. I know that I come from a journalist background, so that's natural for me. And sometimes it's very difficult to put words to paper. But how integral is that part of the journey as step one when you have this angst in your belly of, I need to pivot, I need to do something different? How important is it in that moment to choose silence, choose introspection, and just have you, a piece of paper, a pen, or your iPad open, and get your ideas of what is the picture that you want to create on paper?
It is paramount, because when you get still and you are able to be by yourself and think, not have outside influences or opinions or anything else that would cause you to say, oh, well, maybe I can't do that. You don't need any of that. You need to be by yourself, because I promise your brain is going to do enough of that. Your brain is wired to protect you. And so when you start thinking about, well, if if I really could do something different, I'd like to do blank. Well, your brain is going to instantly kick into gear and go, yeah, but how are you going to make money doing that? How's that going to work? Where are you going to find clients? How are you ever going to get that off the ground? Your brain will do enough of what other people will do. So it's important that you are by yourself and that you write what it is you really want. And that is often a struggle for people. Even when I get them on the phone and I say, well, what is it that you want? Women generally tell me what they don't want. Mm-hmm. When I say, what do you want? They start telling me what they don't like, what they don't want, what they've had enough of. And I'm saying, yes, I hear that. But what is it that you want? Sometimes I think people are very unclear what they want because they've never sat down and really been honest with themselves or even allowed themselves the opportunity to dream. We don't do that a lot. After we grow up, everybody asks you when you're a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's dreaming. You're dreaming. And then when you grow up, you graduate, you go to college, it seems like those dreams stop and you graduate college and it's like, go get that job. No one's dreaming anymore. You need to be able to dream about what you want and then put that on paper and not worry because, like I said, your brain will kick into overdrive and try to talk you out of it. But what is it that you really want is the first step in writing that down.
Gosh, I feel so badly for the people who are watching this because the video is so off from the words that you're saying. But hopefully you could close your eyes and just have those words sink into your psyche for a little bit of the fact that you do need silence and you do need to you're worth it. You're worth it to take the time to figure out if you're living the life that you really want. So thank you for that. Okay, may I ask, what was on your sheet of paper when you were in the pharma industry for 17 years? I know your journey was, your entire journey in the traditional sense was 17 years. So you were saying at year 15, you mentioned all of the health crises within your family, including yourself. At that point, when you were pen to paper on this, what was on your sheet of paper?
Well, as I said, what I wanted was born a bit out of the challenges that I had in becoming an advocate for my parents. So I feel like I kind of backed into what I wanted because I saw a need and said, I want to build something to help. But as I've moved further and started building what I wanted, it's very critical for me to write down what it is that I want. And so I started writing down that I wanted freedom of time. I wanted freedom of my time so that I could have the time to, one, serve my patients, and ultimately, I didn't know it was coming, but women pharmacists coaching clients, and also to begin telling my story. I wanted the freedom of time to be able to do those things, and that is literally what has happened, is I have the freedom of time to do interviews such as the one I'm doing now, the freedom of time to speak all over the country and tell my story, because it not only resonates with women pharmacists, but it resonates with people in general, that we have to prioritize what we want in order to be able to go out and serve the world. And so I wanted to have freedom of time. I wanted to build my own business. I'd reached a point in my career and I felt like there was more. There was something more for me to do. And I wasn't sure at the time what it was. And like I said, I kind of backed into it. But those were the things that were on my list. And then as I've gone further, I've added that I want to live in a different part of the country. I've added that I want to serve a certain number of women pharmacists. And I've gotten very clear on what it is that I want.
So I think that I'll share for me, because I have both brains going at the same time. I'll think big, I'll dream big, and then I'll also lean on what you were saying before. But how am I going to do this? Bills still need to get paid. Children still need to get cared for. And I talk about this concept of systematic dreaming. And I remember, at least on my paper, I had to plan out financially how this was going to happen. And I think it's important to talk about the reality of that and to look at your financial picture and say, it is scary to be an entrepreneur and everything's on you. So what do I need to build within my dream? This is the systematic dreaming part, to make it a reality. So I know I said, before I leave my traditional journalism job, I wanted 3 clients under contract, so I had more of a secure runway, because this is such a risky life. Can you talk a little bit about that, of how you have to really look at the bigger picture, because those are the obstacles that will keep you up late at night?
Yes. So when in my own personal journey, one of the things that I did was, as I was moving towards entrepreneurship and didn't even realize I was headed as fast as I was to full-time entrepreneurship, but I really got very clear on my finances, and I eliminated a lot of things that I think I had just because I could have them, not because I necessarily needed them. So I really got clear with what wasn't necessary in order for me to live financially, not necessarily change my life drastically or my lifestyle drastically. But for example, I had a lot of subscriptions to things that I don't even know that I was really using, but I hadn't canceled them. I hadn't, taken and saved that money. Instead, I was just paying that money every month. So cutting out, I call it trimming the fat that I didn't even need in my budget. So that was one of the things that I started doing. Started making sure that what the things that I was paying for, the services that I was paying for, that I was really comparison shopping and getting the best price for what it was that I was in the market for buying, instead of just buying the first thing that I saw because it was the first thing that I saw. I started doing more comparison shopping. So those were some of the things that I started doing personally. But then as I started my business, getting, like you said, those 3 clients and saying, I'll start working with you, and allowing those clients to also be sources of testimonials for your business is a great way to market. Because if you have 3 people saying, this is what happened in my life as a result of working with this person, then that's marketing right there that you didn't even have to pay for, because you just performed your services and got those 3 clients who are singing your praises now. So I agree, starting with 3. And then oftentimes, I think, as specifically for pharmacists, that's who I've worked with, we tend to want to go out and get all the tools. So let me run out and get a website. Let me run out and get this and that and spend money for this and that. Instead of saying, is there a free version that I can use to build on until I grow? And then when I grow, I'm able to invest more for a monthly fee for particular services, for a particular service. There are lots of things that you can use the free version of to start building. And then as you grow, your needs for software, technology, whatever, will grow as well. And then you're able to invest in those things. So I recommend a slower, stepwise approach and growing with your business, your finances as well.
How does circular thinking, I love this term that you bring up. What is circular thinking, and how does it stop us in our tracks?
Circular thinking is something that I used to do when I was thinking about changing my career, making a change in my career. And so I would stay to myself and not have any conversations with anyone about it, because I felt that I had to figure it out on my own. So I would start and I would think, well, maybe if I did X, that might work. And then I go, no, that won't work. Okay, maybe if I did Y, that may work. Okay, no, maybe it's Z. Oh, nope, that won't work either. And so I would go around and around and around trying to figure out what would work, what the answer was. Mind you, I wasn't testing or trying anything. This was all in my head. And so I would go around and around and around. And after I'd have a hypothesis, and then I would shoot that down and then go on to the next idea, I would eventually get mentally tired and go, well, I'll just be grateful for where I am, and I'll just settle with that, until I got really frustrated again and started that circular thinking path all over.
And then how do you, I guess the bigger question is, you go through it over and over and over again, how do you finally cut the cord, cut that circle straight in half, and say, you know what? I'm going to start going straight ahead in my vision of what I want to see for my life. How do you break that cycle?
I feel that you break the cycle when you stop and you start reaching out and asking, can you help me? And I remember the first coach I had that I sent a message to and said, may I have 15 minutes of your time? I just wanted to see, was there someone who could help me build what it was that I was interested in building? And she graciously replied, said, sure. And I remember we got on the phone and spoke for about 45 minutes that day. I had only asked for 15. And I started to see that it was possible to build what I was building. She had a coaching plan that would help me, that could give me some traction in doing what I was doing. And then when I got that piece under my belt, I found yet another coach to help me on the next phase of my journey with what I was dealing with at that time, what I was looking for help with. And that I subsequently have had several coaches along this journey, and each one has helped me take care of or learn a particular skill set or figure out whatever was in front of me that I couldn't figure out on my own. So that stopped the circular thinking, because I started reaching out going, I have this problem, or I have this challenge, or I have this idea. Can you help me?
You know, I think that it's important to realize too that everybody's point of I'm stuck is different, right? And that's
Yes.
why it goes back to what you were saying before, really writing down what you want and figuring out your own obstacles. Because I know for me, childcare was a big obstacle. And
Right.
maybe in reaching out for help with you for getting a business coach, for me, that was reaching out and getting help. But I needed to get good childcare in place to do what I really wanted to do. So I think it's important to have the female pharmacists out there realize it may not be, I need business help. I mean, we all need business help, right? But it may not be like we need business help. It could be we need childcare help. Maybe it's just I need to sit down with my financial advisor and see what our picture really looks like. So that point of just saying I need help in this one area is a big enough step to give yourself some applause, because right then and there, you know, I'm stopping this circular thinking. And I'm actually stepping out of that circle. I started to go like this with my tangent, and now I'm going to go forward and get the help that I need. And I'm going to continue to get the help that I need, because there are a million stages to this entrepreneurial life and whatever picture you're trying to create for yourself. Okay, Jerrica, I need you to summarize. I'm going to put you on the spot here. The top 3 action items that a female pharmacist can do right now if they have this angst in their belly. What would you say is the number one thing to do first?
I would say that the first thing to do is to get really clear on what you want. And if you are having challenges with that, separate yourself. Maybe go away for a weekend, maybe go away for a day, for a couple of hours, whatever it takes. Separate yourself and think about, if time and money were no issue, I know they are, but if they weren't, what would you want? The second thing that I would suggest is to start looking around to find out who you can have a conversation with. So one of the things I stress for my clients is it's important to network. So start having conversations and find out who can help you. Who can help you? This is what I'm interested in, and can you help me? And once you find someone that can help you, I say start building whatever it is that you want, no matter how big or how small or how long it may seem that it takes you to build it. Start building whatever it is that you want. Start moving in that direction, and you will be amazed at the things that begin to open up when you just start going in that direction. As I mentioned before, I was building my consulting pharmacy practice, and then I start getting calls from women pharmacists asking me about coaching. I never had the idea that I would even be coaching anyone, yet I started moving in the direction of what I wanted, which was freedom of my time and to build my own business. And look what happened. several things have happened, including the magazine, that weren't even in my original plans. But when I started following that road of building what I wanted, getting the right people on board to help me where I was having challenges, all kinds of things have happened that I didn't even expect.
I am so happy that you mentioned the magazine. Show people the magazine. And at first, I thought this is your magazine. You're a publisher now. You're a pharmacist, you're a publisher, you have 2 master's degrees. I could write your bio right now. Tell people more
Yes.
about the magazine.
Well, as I began coaching women pharmacists, I wanted to develop a platform for them to share their stories. I share my stories all the time whenever I speak, whenever I'm traveling around the country speaking. I'm always sharing my story. But as I started coaching these women pharmacists, I was like, someone needs to hear their story. Other women pharmacists need to know that they too can change their lives. And so with that, that was the reason that I wanted to publish the magazine. And I wanted to also create a platform that would celebrate women pharmacists who are doing that. We're over half of the profession. We make up over half of the profession of pharmacists, or over half of us are women. And I wanted a place where women could be celebrated, where women could be inspired and go, oh my gosh, you mean I can build that too? And so with that, I published the first issue, and the second issue is coming really, really soon. I'm so excited about it. And it's to show you that these women pharmacists have determined that they are going to make a change in their lives, in their careers, and they're going to build the life of their dreams, be it a business or a particular position that they're looking for in the pharmaceutical world. And it can be done. So that was my purpose in developing the magazine. And it was something that I totally didn't know how to do. But what did I do? I reached out and I asked the question, can you help me? This is what I'm interested in. Can you help me? And now you see the result.
My goodness. Dr. Jerrica Dodd, thank you so much for your inspiration this morning. So knowledgeable in so many aspects of healthcare, but also personal growth and journey. So thank you for sharing your journey. Tell people how they could get a hold of you.
The best way to get a hold of me is to go to yourpharmacyadvocate.com, and you can go to the contact tab there. You can put in your name and your contact information, and that will get to me, and I'm able to follow up. And that's likely going to be our best avenue for keeping connected.
I mean, and I will say that she gets back to you very quickly. I mean, we're here because of LinkedIn. we messaged each other in LinkedIn, we connected, and we found out that we had a lot of similarities. And so thank you for getting back to me so quickly. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. And LinkedIn is also an option, so definitely.
Listen, she answers all messages. All right, Dr. Dodd, thank you so much. If you are listening on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and LinkedIn Live, again, thank you, LinkedIn Live, for having us be one of your beta testers for your live platform. We certainly appreciate it. We call all female entrepreneurs and female business owners and specialists, whether you're a pharmacist, an independent practitioner, come join us on this platform. We speak weekly to talk about different issues that are going on in healthcare, and we're weaving the communication aspects of how to speak clearly, concisely, and conversationally in all of our messaging for the healthcare industry. So I'd love to hear your story. Dr. Dodd, it really was a pleasure listening to your journey and how you took all of those steps within your personal life to really change your professional life as well. So kudos to you. And I know that people are inspired this morning. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right. I will see you guys next week. Next week, we are talking about the ins and outs of video marketing with a professor from the University of Maryland. So hope you'll join us for that. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Dr. Dodd. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.